gracefully and cheerfully certain practical tips. It is said that there are only two types of senior citizens. It is said there are only two types of senior citizens. One type is known as bitter senior citizens. Other one is known as cheerful senior citizens. You see, two senior citizens images are given. You see one senior citizen, how happy, cheerful she is. And then you see also another senior citizen who is so bitter, so bitter. So old age is a time to spend in prayer and forgive our past hurts and wounded memories. So yesterday, Father Jason was saying, sometimes we may carry these past hurts, wounded memories, hurtful feelings. No, we all carry. In our life, now and then, we had these type of unpleasant experiences. And it is important as we grow to throw away all those unpleasant experiences, to throw away all that is not needed in our life, and to carry only happy memories, pleasant happy memories, if we want to be cheerful, elderly, religious. I give you one small story very fast. One kindergarten teacher asked his children to carry a few potatoes to the class and also a plastic bag. And as the children came with the potatoes, he told the kindergarten children, take one potato, and then if you are angry with anybody, write the name of that person. So if you are angry with 5 persons, so 5 potatoes. And each potatoes, you write the name of the persons with whom you are having some difficulties. You are angry. You don't talk to him. You carry grudges, ill feeling, jealousy, and so on. So some students were angry with only 2, so 2 potatoes. They wrote their names. Some were angry with 10. Imagine 10 potatoes, 10 people's name. Some fellows even they were angry with 15. So 15 potatoes, each potato, one name of the person with whom they are having problems. Then the teacher said, you put all these names, potatoes with the names in a plastic bag, and you carry these potatoes, these names, potatoes with these names of the persons, wherever you go, till I tell you. So this is an exercise. You should carry wherever you go, till I tell you. Even when you go to restroom, you should carry. Even while sleeping, you should sleep with these potatoes side by. And as the days went on, it was so heavy. Imagine fellow who was carrying 15 potatoes, small boys, small children, small girls. So they were finding it very difficult. And the last days went on, the potatoes also got rotten, bad smells were coming, some potatoes, waters were oozing out. And then after 2 weeks, the teacher said, now you can remove the potatoes from your bag. No need to carry any more. And they were all so relieved. And the teacher asked, do you understand the lesson? Why I asked you to do? Exactly this is what happened when you are carrying anger, hatred, jealousy, ill feelings in your heart. You are carrying a burden. Unnecessary, you are carrying a burden, and it takes away all your happiness, all your cheerfulness. And another incident, one Stein family, one pastor Stein, and his 2 children, young ones, Philip and Timothy, were burned alive in a night when they were sleeping in a jeep by a person known as Tara Singh. And the wife of Stein was asked, how is it that you are able to forgive this Tara Singh? His wife forgave Tara Singh. And then she was asked, how is it that it was possible for you to forgive Tara Singh? That wife told, if I don't forgive Tara Singh, I'll be carrying Tara Singh every day and everywhere. Because he'll be all the time in my mind. When I am walking, I will be carrying him in my mind. When I am sleeping, I will be carrying him in mind. While praying, he will come to my mind. I will be carrying him. While eating, he will come to my mind. I will be carrying him. Why should I carry Tara Singh every day, every time, everywhere? So the moment I have forgiven him, I no more carry him. I have left him free. Now I am free. I am not carrying him. Dear sisters, this is very important. As we grow, we should not carry rotten potatoes. As we grow age, we should not carry anybody. The forgiveness is a tablet which allows us to purify our memories, to come out of all these wounded memories and unpleasant memories and all the past hurts. So in religious life, as I said, there is no retirement, but only retired. Retired means, okay, we continue to do our mission, but in a different way. We know there are also some superiors who are very, very old. Though they are very old, senior citizens, they are appointed as superiors. Why? Because of their long experience, because of the wisdom. So the province, the congregation wanted to make use of this experience that they have. So that's why we say in religious life, there is no retirement at all. Sometimes some elderly religious are not prepared for aging gracefully. That's why when they age, when they become, when they are retired, suddenly some sudden changes take place and they refuse to profit from the leisurely time that they have after the retirement, and few religious even become very bitter, very rebellion, very aggressive. That's why they become bitter religious. So it is very important that we prepare ourselves in advance so that we are able to go through this stage cheerfully and meaningfully and gracefully and happy. So it is very imperative that we are initiated into a fruitful life of retirement. As yesterday Father was saying, as we grow aged, we may undergo sometimes loneliness. We may have hunger for love. We may have hunger for attention. We want that people are there all the time with us and so on. So these desires are there. And it is important that these issues are addressed. And each stage of life has its own joys and pains. And those of old age are greater than any other period, because body has already worn out and the soul is yearning for our final call. So it is a moment of joy, a stage where the joy is very intensive, and pains are also very intensive as the joy is. That's why this stage is very, very important in third age and fourth age. Some may not have physical pains. Some people, because of their good health, good exercise, good diet system, they may not have a lot of physical pains, but mind can be. Their mind can be with emptiness, with loneliness, some type of frustrations, disappointments, all may be there. So unless God becomes the center of our life, this stage can also be very, very terrible. So loneliness is a kind of a cross that we all have to carry. And loneliness, don't think we have loneliness only in this stage. Okay, loneliness is there in all the stage, but at this stage, it may be little intensive. And some emotional issues which are not dealt previously can also emerge when we become old. That's why I said it is important that all our conflicts are resolved. It is very important that we forgive. It is very important that we don't carry anger, hatred, ill feelings, and so on. If at all we had something during our middle age or our young age and all, it is important that we purify our memories and that we carry only what is good, what is pleasant. So spiritual masters consider old age as a period of being rather than a time of doing. So when we are young, we are so busy doing, and it's a time for being. And we know being is more important than doing. So having living a life of faith and openness to surrender all that one needs and has been will depend upon the quality of life lived yearly. So the life that we have now depends upon the quality of life that we live now depends upon the life of faith, the life of openness, the life of surrender that one had when he was leading a young life. That's why they say one who had a good young life when he was young will also have a good life when he is an elder. They also say one who lived well will die also well. One who lived happily will also die happily. If someone is living very badly, all the time with anger, hatred, and so on, he will also die very badly. So when we look at a person, the way he dies, we can understand how that person might have lived. If a person dies happily, joyfully, peacefully, it implies that person might have also lived joyfully, happily, peacefully. So that's very important. That's why it's very important that all of us one day will die. We will face death. And it is important that we live now joyfully, happily, cheerfully, peacefully, so that we can also die happily, joyfully, peacefully, and cheerfully. So the elders need to be given also an environment of prayer. The spiritual needs have to be met. So when the elders are, should not keep in a place where there is no mass, there is no time for, where there is no facilities or environment for prayer, communion is not provided to them, given to them. No, the elders, wherever they may be, they should be provided an environment of prayer. All their spiritual needs should be met. So those with physical illness should also learn to surrender their pain, suffering, loneliness, and fears and anxieties to God. So as we grow, we may have some physical illness, we may have some mental problems, some frustrations, disappointments, loneliness we may feel, we may have fears, we may have anxiety, and we have to surrender them to God as participation in the sufferings of Jesus. Jesus suffered a lot, and our sufferings can be a small part in the participation of the sufferings of Jesus. Physiological changes in the elderly. I'm not going to deal this because yesterday Father was speaking about it. I'm going just to read. We may have problem with vision. We may not be able to see as we used to see. We may have problem of hearing. We may have problem of touch. The peripheral sense of some diabetics and undernourished patients tend to fall down. Even when people touch, we may not have sensation. Skin, the layers of our subcutaneous fat in the elderly becomes thinner and thinner, and then skin loses its elasticity due to dehydration. And then that's why it's very important that if you are in a winter places, it's important that you keep yourself warm. And then we get easily tired as we grow old because of endocrine sick due to you become sick due to diminished and decreased metabolism. All these physical problems we faces. Then we also problems of renal owing to decreased functioning of the renal system. Old people may have problems also such as incontinence, frequent urination, all that. So generally, the elderly people experience general weaknesses and tendency to become very tired soon. Then elderly people also have intellectual and emotional challenges. The body stops working when it is intellectually and emotionally exhausted. Mind is very active, body is also active. When mind becomes inactive, body also stops working. Also, the capacity for reasoning slowly declines. Then problem of memory, decreased concentration, loss of attentiveness, and incapacity for judgment. And then that's why these, when people become old, those who are taking care of them must also spend more time in listening, because they need somebody to listen, and they find it difficult to speak. That's why concentration vanishes, and then reasoning declines, capacity for judgment comes down. So one who is attending have to be careful with this. And then emotional changes also leads into anxiety, anger, guilt feeling, a deep sense of unworthiness, helplessness, powerlessness, profound loss of self-value, emptiness, all that can happen. See, I'm not explaining this in detail because yesterday, when you had these 2 days of classes on psychological aspect, all these were dealt in detail. I'm just only finding out. Emotionally, you may also become labil and depressed with delusion. So it is very important when the sisters, elderly sisters are there, religious are there, we should help our senior sisters socially. What does it mean? The socialization and relationships are very, very important to your human well-being. So don't put sisters, elderly sisters alone. Now that nobody is there. No. There is maybe tendency for seniors to withdraw from social activities. No, we should never allow them. So don't withdraw from social activities. Join in the events that interest you. If you are interested in watching television, okay, 2, 3, 4 of you sit together and watch. If you are interested in playing cards or some type of games, come together, play, recreate. So don't withdraw. Simple prayer schedule for those not confined to bed will keep focused and spiritually alert. There are some who may be in the bedridden, but there are others who are not bedridden. So you can have also your own prayer schedule. So, normally in our convents or seminaries, we get up very early. So we have morning prayer, let us say at 6 o'clock, 6:30. Elderly, they can sleep a little more. So they can have at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. They can have their own time of schedules, their own timetable. But it's good that some type of prayers are prayed together, even though they may find it sometimes difficult. So regular mass has to be arranged for them. Holy communions is to be arranged for them. And they can also teach, learn some new hobby, and some craft can also be explored. Little bit of engagement is very, very important. And there may be some who may be very much interested or talented in writing. Encourage them to write. You can ask them even to write their autobiography, write their life history. It may be very inspiring for the younger ones. So the fear of future is a natural concern. We are afraid. Right? The fear of future becomes a natural concern. And inevitability of death sometimes becomes a real source of uncertainty and dread. So it can happen during this time. What are these questions which will come when we are young? Will my life lose its meaning if I am no longer useful? So people who are aging, these type of questions will emerge very strongly. Will my life lose its meaning if I am no longer useful? How long will I be able to care for myself? If my body weakens, will I give up the activities that I enjoy the most? Can I cope with losing the loved ones in my life? As you grow, you will see your batchmates dying, your sisters with whom you are very close dying. your relatives dying, your brothers dying, sisters dying. So you may ask questions, how will I cope up with losing the loved ones? So these are a few questions that will emerge as you grow old. Some social changes will also take place intrapersonal, within yourself. You'll have a tendency of withdrawal, alienation, isolation, inappropriate speech, disorientation, wandering, spatial disorientation, all that Father also said yesterday. Then you may also have problem of interpersonal level, lack of respect for others, blaming others, shouting at others, all the time complaining, being very aggressive, attacking others, inconsistency, even jealousy. Even when we are old, we may become very jealous. So these are all the problems we may have in our relationship with our sisters or with our brothers. So it is very important to focus on one's relationship with God. During this time, as we are aging, we should become more and more prayerful. We should become more and more spiritual. And Jesus, God, should become our center. And that will give us a sense of wholeness. And that sense of wholeness will help us to live our life gracefully and cheerfully as elders. So sometimes depressions may also lead to belittle our life as meaningless and hopeless. So it's very important to be aware. We should not allow ourselves to fall into these type of depression. And understand also, sisters, we are beyond bodily appearances and numerical number of age. Yeah. We are not just only bodily human beings. Okay, body is important, but we are more than our body. Okay, we have mind, we have intellect, we have soul, we have spirit. So body may disappear, doesn't matter, but we live even after our body decays. So that's why we should not be too much worried about the differences, the changes that take place in our body as we grow, and also numerically the number of age. Don't worry. The people can be 80, but they can be still very active and young as if they are only 40. So number is only a mere number, but life is more than the number. So we have power. We have power which transcends our bodily powers. Though our body may be weak, but we have power more than the body. Even though our body may be weak, but we can be more powerful. So Pope Francis says, aging is actually a time of grace. So aging is actually a time of grace. So don't think that the earthly cycle of birth, adolescence, youth, maturity, and old age is all there to life by chance. No, they are not by chance. God has created us life with a plan. So it goes on according to your plan. So one who thinks that everything happens by chance has no anchor, no hope, no vision. And to him, life may have no meaning at all. So everything is done by God's will. Everything has its own plan in the dream of God. So I am here today, 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, 80. God has a plan for me. So when life is reduced like this, it means you think everything has been done by chance and so on, then it may lead to frustration, stagnation, and then we may lose our sense of hope. It may lead sometime also to sickness, neurosis, mental disorders, and so on. So what we have to do, old age has to be welcomed and accepted joyfully and gracefully. Welcome this age, welcome this time, because it's a time of grace, a time of blessing. And aging has its own glory, and aging also has its own beauty. As one ages, the body may undergo some changes, some difficulties, but qualities like happiness, wisdom, goodwill, Understanding will never grow old or die. Okay. Body may die. Body may lose its vitality. Body may lose its activeness, its fitness, flexibility. But qualities that we have, that we inherited from right from our childhood, qualities like happiness, wisdom, goodwill, understanding, will never grow old or die. They always remain the same. They always remain young and fresh. So one's character, the quality of mind, faith, convictions, etc., are not subject to decay. Understand? Body may change, body may get ruined, may decay, but our character, we remain the same. You have a good, integrated character, a man of faith, a person of intellect, a quality of mind, a person of convictions. All these you will carry till your death. So, members should have a very positive understanding about their aged members also. See, other members who are there in your communities or in our congregations, in our provinces, they all must have a good, positive understanding about their aged members. Similarly, the elderly must also have positive outlook about themselves. It is very important that as we grow, we have a positive outlook about ourselves. Don't say, I am retired, I am old, my life is finished, my life is over, why am I living? All my friends have died, I also want to die, life is so boring, life is so miserable, life is so painful. No, sisters. We should try to avoid all these type of negativities. We should be active, positive, with vibration, with enthusiasm, till the last moment of our life. Body may have become weak, doesn't matter, but I am strong. I am strong in mind. I am strong in faith. I am strong in conviction. That is important. So those negative resignations would lead to stagnation and even to mental death. So many people, before they physically die, they die mentally. So once, some even when they are 60, they are dead. Mentally, they are dead. And if you are mentally dead, you can imagine how painful the life would be, no? So before you die physically, you are already dead. And then, though you are alive, you are breathing, your heart is beating, you live as if you are a dead person because you are dead mentally with all these negative attitudes. And that's why it is very important to have a positive outlook about your life. Whatever may be your age, even if you are 90, 92, 93, doesn't matter, 95, 100, no problem. It's a grace, it's a blessing that God has given you. Be all the more happy that many did not have these possibilities, but I have. As the Bible says, longevity of life is always a blessing from God. God has especially blessed me. So look the positive aspects rather than looking at the negatives, the sufferings involved in it. Try to look at the positives. So human life is much more than mere age. So human life is much more than mere age, as well as much more than the appearance of the body. So it transcends the body. It transcends the age. Some may feel old even at the age of 40, while others may feel pretty young even at the age of 80. This we have already experienced in our congregation religious. No? There may be some 40 years old sister walking and talking and thinking like a 100 years old person. And there may be another person of 80 years old, all the time, young, active, looking as if she is still in her 40s or 50s. Happens. That's why I said, life is not mere body. Life is not a mere number. Okay? It is much more than that. So as a religious age, they are maturing in experience, they are maturing in wisdom, they are maturing in skill, and they are maturing in understanding. Be happy. So if you are elderly, good, because you are maturing in experience, in wisdom, in skills, in understanding, and the emotional and spiritual maturity that you have as the elderly sisters should be a blessing for the younger ones. That's why we always say having a elderly religious in a community is a grace, is a blessing, is an extraordinary opportunity provided for the younger ones to learn, to receive their experiences. So one is as strong as he thinks he is, and as valuable as he thinks he is. So if you think you are strong, you are strong. If you think you are valuable, you are valuable. If you think you are precious, you are precious. So you are what you think. And that's why I said many people, many religious or many elderly people may be very young because mentally they are very strong, whereas others may be very weak because mentally they are very weak. They already mentally they are dead. So that's why mind, the thinking, the attitude that we have about our life is very, very important. See, the body, most of the time, no, after we reach certain age, we may not be able to control. So as we grow, the body loses, its freshness, the skin loses its freshness, we get different types of pain, all that. So those things we may not be able to control. But mind, we can always control. The thinking, we can always control. The option is given to us. We can think positively or we can think negatively. It is left to us. Age has nothing to do with that. Body may have, age has something to do with the body, but not our mind. That's why you are as strong as you think you are. You are as valuable as you think you are. So think positively. Think. Always have optimistic outlook. So if one's thoughts are continuously on the beautiful, the noble, the good, the wonderful things happen, the pleasant experiences, the happy experiences, then she will also remain young, regardless of the chronological years. So it is thought that makes you what you are. So if you are thinking beautiful about beautiful things, new things, noble things, good things, pleasant things, you will always remain young sisters. Even if you are 80, 85, 90. Normally, people grow old when they lose interest in life. So you lose interest in life, you will become old even if you are 50. So you are 45 or 50, you have already lost interest in life, you are already old, you have become old. So people grow old when they cease to dream. People grow old when they fail to hunger for new truths, new learning. So it's all depends upon us. Age, the number, just leave it. Body, just leave it. It is how you think that you are. If you have real interest in life, if you continue to dream, you continue to want to learn something new, all the time you are here. Even if chronologically you have become old. So when our mind is open to new ideas, new interests, new adventures, we remain young always. So sisters, be open to new ideas, open to new interests, go for new adventures, new learning, dream big. You will always remain young. Even when a religious is 65 or 95, she must realize that she has a lot to contribute to the congregation. lot to contribute to the province, a lot to contribute to the community, a lot to contribute to the younger members of the congregation. Very important, sisters. Never think that your mission is over. Never think life is over for me. Now I'm only preparing to die. No. Age doesn't matter. Even if you are 90, realize, think that you still have your mission. You still has a lot to contribute to the congregation and to the province. So though body may become fragile, as we advance in age, our mind will never return. This is what I said. Body may become fragile. We may not have control over our body. The body, as it becomes weak, we may not be able to do much. Of course, with the diet, exercise, we can do little, but there are things which are beyond our control as much as the body, as it concerns about our body. But mind, it is under our control. Mind depends upon the way we look at it. So our mind never retires. Instead of saying, I am growing old, we should learn to say, I am getting more experience and I am becoming more and more wise in my spiritual life. So stop using those type of negative things. I have become old, I am growing old, I am nothing, I can do nothing. No. Learn to say positively, yes, I am getting now more and more experienced. I am becoming more and more wise. I am becoming more and more spiritual. So all these years of experience has made me wise and spiritual. So look at the positives. So I am giving you some examples of people who achieved a lot even when they became very, very old. You see, Socrates, he learned to play music when he was 80 years old. Imagine, he learned music when he was 80. Michelangelo, he painted his famous picture known as Canvas. You see this picture where God's finger and human hands, the human finger are touching, no? So this beautiful picture of Michelangelo was drawn, was made when he was 80. Imagine, 80. Then there was one beautiful poet known as Alfred Tennyson. He wrote a beautiful poem known as Crossing the Bar. Crossing the Bar when he was 83. Imagine. I'm sure many of you are not in your 80s, but all these are in 80s. They have done great wonders. Then Morarji Desai, our ex-prime minister, he became Prime Minister of India when he was 81. Imagine, Morarji Desai. 81, he became a Prime Minister of India. Ronald Reagan, President of America, he became President of America when he was 70. Imagine, all old people can do great things. That's why he said, you never stop contributing. We never stop contributing. We contribute, we dream till our death. Then another person, Gladys Burrill. This Gladys Burrill was a long runner, marathon running. And she ran, imagine, nearly 42 kilometers when she was 92 for a competition, not simply running. So for a competition, long running marathon, she ran 42 kilometers continuously when she was 92. And her first competition was when she was 86. It was when she was 86. She began her first marathon race. Then we have another person from Chennai, Paul Siromni. He completed his PhD when he was 90 years old, a doctorate. He became a doctor in studies, completed his doctorate, defended his thesis when he was 90 years old. Imagine, see the picture, how young he is, how young he looks. 90. Then, in Kerala recently, one Amma, Bhagirathi Amma, she passed her fourth standard when she was 105. So she did not study when she was young. So she wanted to study. So she studied and wrote the exam, the fourth standard exam, when she was 105. Recently, I heard she died. So imagine. Then we have also Pope Francis, as I said, he became Pope when he was 76 after his retirement. So he already gave a resignation to Pope Benedict XVI. Pope Benedict XVI did not accept his resignation. And then God called him to be the Pope when he was 76. Okay. So, aged religious can also be incredible contributors. Aged religious can also be incredible contributors. I have given a few examples of aged people contributing or performing something extraordinary. And if these people in their 80s and 90s and 70s can do so much, why can't we, sisters? Why can't we? We can also be incredible contributors in our old age. So the elderly have to be esteemed, and they should be also offered opportunities to work on their expertise. So practically speaking, every elderly religious must be respected, must be esteemed, and provide them opportunity to work on their expertise. If they are good in writing, provide them opportunities for them to write. If they are good in music, provide them opportunity to work on their music, on their expertise. If they are good in guiding young people, give them opportunities to work with young people. So the positive attitude will enable them to contribute as much as they can. As I said, mind has no retirement. Mind is always active. Till we die, till we go to the graveyard, our mind is active. So the positive attitude, more and more you become positive, more and more you will be able to contribute. So aged religious should believe that they still have a lot to contribute. Never think your life is over. Always think you still have a lot to contribute. So equip yourself and feel energetic and young at heart always. Equip, be positive, equip yourself, qualify yourself, and feel energetic and young at heart. And the provinces or congregations should also have some concrete plan to care the aged members. So provide them opportunities. We'll see some of them, what they can do. So for our elderly sisters, elderly religious, provisions have to be made to move in freely in the wheelchair inside the house as well as in the campus. So this is very, very important, especially in India. We should pay attention to this. See, in our buildings are built in such a way that our elderly religious cannot move freely in the campus. No. Sometimes we keep the chapel in such a way in the first floor or second floor. So sisters, elderly sisters from the ground floor, they cannot go. So provisions have to be made to move freely in the wheelchair inside the house. The house should be built in such a way, especially for elderly religious, so that they can move very freely inside the campus, not only inside the house, also inside the campus. Our buildings are built in such a way with steps. So from the building, from inside of the house, we cannot come outside the campus with a wheelchair. So our building should be elderly friendly, so that with wheelchair they can very easily move. I understand. We were not thinking in this line, no. That's why we did not build our houses like this. But now we have to do some type of modification in such a way that our elderly sisters can move freely in the wheelchair, in the sense if they are not able to walk and so on. So keep the aged religious active as much as possible. Don't simply put them, keep them inactive. Give them little bit of assignments, little bit of responsibility, keeping in mind their bodily conditions as well as age, what they can do. Give them some responsibility. Mm. Some religious feel so empty when they feel that they have become like useless and that no responsibility is given to them. And provide them also laptops. If they are, you see one picture I have seen, one elderly sister is there with a laptop. So provide them some facilities, laptops, to write their experiences, if they know typewriting, or if they can use the uh, use laptops to type and so on. Provide them so that they can write their experiences, they can write their memory, they can write also reflections, and then homilies they can write, and biblical commentaries they can do. If they are good in biblical things, allow them, let them do. They can also provide them also opportunity to discuss congregational matters, because they have experience, they have lived, they know the history, the tradition, the history of the province. There may be some elderly religious who are there right from the beginning of the province. So they have a lot of experiences, lot of knowledge. So when there are occasionally ask them to discuss, share their experiences about the congregation, about the province, about the communities. Occasionally, ways are to be also found to share the meals with them, even if they are bedridden. So it's very important. Huh? I had a very beautiful experience of one of our priests, when he was a parish priest, one of my friends. What he did on one particular day, he wanted to bring all the elderly parishioners to the church. Many elders, they don't come to the parish for mass. Maybe different reason. One may be they are bedridden. So if you are bedridden, you have to bring them is not that easy. And all the families, they don't have facilities, in the sense they don't have car to bring the elderly people to the church. And they don't have also, sometimes they may not have wheelchair, they may not have persons to carry them and so on. So this father made it a point to make arrangements to hire vehicles and hire wheelchairs and so on. And then he made it a point to bring all these bedridden or the elders who are not able to come to the Sunday mass, to bring them to the church. So all the elders were brought to the church. Some of them were bedridden, but they were given a wheelchair. They were sitting there in the wheelchair. And they, after a very, very long years, they came to the parish church, where they received baptism, maybe, where they received the first communion, where they received the sacrament of matrimony. And then after many years, because of sickness, they could not come. Now they were brought. They celebrated together mass. And after the mass, all of them were given a common meal, agape meal. How happy they were, They will never forget that experience. We can do that, sisters, in our provinces also. So occasionally make it a point that you make arrangements that all the elderly sisters are brought to the chapel, and that we celebrate mass together. And we also have meals together, sharing our experiences. So even the elderly religious have the desire and longing also to visit the communities, friends, and family members. So make some arrangements occasionally, that you take them in the in the wheelchair, in our cars. Maybe a little difficult, but okay, take them to the nearby communities. Let them talk to their friends. Let them also occasionally, possible, let the family members also visit them. Or if the family members are nearby, you can take them. So many of the elders are disappointed when they are told, you are too old, so don't go out of the house. We will give you the food that is best for you. Sometimes we say like this, but they also have a desire to go out. I don't mean that every day you take them out, but occasionally it's good to take them. They'll be happy if they are taken out occasionally. So you see, in India, we don't find these type. But then people who have gone to Europe and all, you'll see the elders are taken to the park. Yeah, they also have better facilities with wheelchair. They can be easily, taken, and they may not be, and then parties they are taken when they have Christmas, Easter get together. Even the elders they come sit together. So these are all very important moments for the elders to age gracefully and cheerfully. Sometimes we do not allow the aged members to do some work because we are so worried what others may think about the members of the community. Sometimes when elder is doing some work, he says, "Oh, sister, please, please, don't do. If somebody sees what they will think about us, so many young people are there and you are doing that." Sometimes I have seen in some communities, some elders, they are, though they are elderly, but they can do little work. So they may be watering, they may catch the hose pipe and they may be watering a plant. Then one younger sister will run, coming and catching. Then, sister, please, you go to your room. Don't do this. If somebody comes and they sees you watering, what they will think about us? Don't worry, sister. Don't worry about what others think. We are more worried about what our sisters think, what our elderly sisters think. That is more important for us. And if they are able to do little bit of work, okay, they like it. They like watering. They want to do little bit of work in the garden. Let them do. Some may like to do little bit of washing. Let them do if they can. So we should not become too what we call protective in such a way, and that we tell every time don't do, don't do. No, and as we grow, we don't like to hear often don't do, don't do that all. No, so provide the aged religious the opportunity and space to do whatever is possible. Don't demand, don't command, don't ask them to do something which they cannot. Don't ask them. If they voluntarily wanted to do something, allow them. So they need to be encouraged to do what they can. And even if they do little bit of work, we appreciate. If they are doing a small watering, okay, 10 minutes, one sister is there. See, I have seen also in Europe, there will be some sisters who will be doing these type of small work by sitting on the wheelchair. You might have seen in some nice road, both sides we have some plants, no? So in the road, you can use the wheelchair. So they will be sitting in the wheelchair and then catching the hose pipe, no? So some may be helping also to open and close and all, but they like because they feel okay, they have done something like that, no? So even if they do little bit of work like this, appreciate them. The elderly should also try to do what they want to do. If they want to study some lessons, okay, let them study. They want to do some research in some topic, allow them, and keep themselves busy always by reading, writing something, listening. Now also we have smartphone, you can listen to nice talks in the YouTube. You can watch also some mass, so many things are there. So listening, watching, besides, of course, resting and relaxing. They can also see and experience God and life from a higher perspective because they have lived a long years. So they have experienced God in a different perspective. So they can share also, write those precious experience for the future generation. Okay. So some congregations have their own homes for the elderly sisters to take care of them, sick as well as elders. It's good. So when members become sick and old, they are sent to live in these type of old age home. In some congregations, not all the congregations, but some have these type of old age homes where the members are sent. I'm just seeing, how they look at it, no? And these elderly sisters or sick sisters, they go there very reluctantly and sadly with no hope of returning to any of the communities. So they think now this is the last community. They are sent to die in the sense, the last moment. So far they were in different communities, they were given transfer and so on. Hereafter, nothing will be there. I am sent to my last destination. So some sisters, some fathers, when they are sent to this type of old age home, they don't like, but they go very reluctantly and sadly with no hope of returning back to the community. So in a way, real active community life is over for them. This is how they think. A real active community life is over. So actually, they are so unwilling to go there, because they are sent to a place where they have never been before and have no friends or known persons there. See, what I mean is, see, the old age home is our last place if we have our own in the province. So we never lived there before. So first time you are going to live there. And wherever we are in other communities, when we are living, we have many friends there. Not only I don't mean friends inside the community. So when we are in a community, we have so many friends outside, no? The nearby people with whom we are working. Suppose you are working in a school, nearby, of course, some parents, some children, some teachers, So you have many friends outside the community also. But you are sent to a old age home where you have no friends outside. You do not know anybody at all. You are going there as if you are going to a new place with nobody. So that's why many religious don't like to go to old age home. So the house for maintaining sick and elderly must be connected to the main house, where the members come periodically for celebration and gathering and visit their friends and spend some time leisurely with them and get the support they need. So what I explain here is, if at all you have a old age home, don't keep your old age home in a forest or in a remote place where nobody visits, nobody goes. So if at all we have a old age home, it should be attached to another community, main community, maybe like our provincial house, or maybe like our general house, or maybe like a house, our mother house, where people often come. Suppose you have a provincial house and nearby you have a, let us say, old age home. Then to the provincial house, many members visit. And then often you have a meeting. You have a provincial chapter there, or you have superiors meeting there, or you have formators meeting there, or you have educators meeting there. So practically, or you conduct retreat there. So practically all the members of the province come to the provincial house 3 or 4 times. So whenever they come, if the old age home is very close, then they can also visit there. And occasionally you can also have a common meal. Suppose you have superiors meeting, so you can have a common meal there in the old age home with all the elderly sisters. So they feel that they are not abandoned. They are still taken care, and they are still able to visit other members, and other members are also able to visit. And instead, if an old age home is kept in a very remote place where the members don't go often, we need extra effort to go and visit them. And many, what they do, they don't visit. And these elderly sisters or fathers, religious, may feel being abandoned. So that's why the best thing is not to have a separate old age home. Our elderly sisters should be taken care in our own communities. But if there are many religious, elderly religious, and then there is not much possibilities and so on, okay, we can have. But it has to be, according to my conviction, understanding, it has to be very, very close to a main house, or a house which is very active, where many members periodically come for different celebrations, gathering, so that whenever they come, they can also spend time with elderly sisters, elderly religious, so that they don't feel being abandoned. Provide also good medical and nursing facilities. Of course, none of us is stingy as far as the medical needs for our members, especially our elders, are concerned. So though they are elderly, we provide the best possibility, that is facilities that is available. Better to take care of the sick in our own communities, as I said, so that the aged sick can pass the final period of their life in a familiar community and prepare for death in a family environment. As I said, suppose you think one sister is was working as a teacher in a community, in a school for 25 years, let us say. So certainly she will have a lot of friends around that community. And if her last years is also spent in that community, Then often many members, her own friends, teachers, her own students, or other parents, often they will be coming, visiting them, and so on. So her final time, final period of life will be spent in a familiar community with the familiar people. And happily, she will be able to prepare for death in a family environment. If she is put in a very far place, a community where she never lived, as I said, where never had any friend, and then that loneliness, depressions, frustrations can be also mm, very, very acute. So even when it would be necessary to be admitted sometime in a healthcare structures, it doesn't happen in our structures, but in Europe and all, when some elderly fathers or sisters, they take them and then they keep them in some other homes, not not their own province houses, in some centers run by lay people. So if at all somebody is kept like this for some reasons, it is very important that the religious bonds with their conferers and with their own environment are not broken, not that you simply abandon them. Even if something happens like this, regularly we see her, we visit them, show our affection, show our sisterhood. It's very, very important. They should also be encouraged to find the strength to face a hard trial in prayer and with the comfort of the sacraments. They should also be surrounded by sisters who are ready to listen and to share her sentiments. So that's why, suppose when you have old age home and so on, so when you appoint people there, the superior or other sisters for different responsibilities, try to appoint people who are very friendly in nature. Yeah. Sisters, young sisters who are very patient, people who take care of these elders. Don't send sisters, young sisters who don't like to be with these type of elderly sisters. If someone says, I don't like to go, don't send them. So there may be some sisters who have this charism of being very friendly with the elders, no? Charism of being a good listeners, a charism to understand these elderly. Those type of people should be uh, sent. And nearby our communities, there is one, 2, 3 old age homes are there. And I'm very happy because the sisters who are working there are very good, beautiful sisters in the sense, very wonderful sisters to accompany these senior sisters. It's very important. If we don't have good sisters, young ones to accompany these senior sisters, the senior sisters' suffering would increase. Their frustrations may increase. As I know, normally we say the best religious should be appointed in our formation houses because they should be an example for the former. Similarly, the best religious should be appointed also in the old age homes of our own old age home, if at all we have our own houses. So practically, as I have already said these things, I have just put in boxes. These are certain things that we should take care in our caring of the elderly sisters, frequently visiting them, and they are a blessing to the congregation. So understand, give them the idea that they are not a curse to the congregation. They are not a burden to the congregation, but they are the blessings. They are God's blessing to the congregation. Learn also to understand their mentality. Give them hopeful words, positive words. Listen to their stories. Sometimes they may say the same stories again and again. Don't worry. That's why I said we should appoint sisters who have this charism. Suppose one young sister is there, she goes, and one bedridden sister is there in the old age home, she goes and serves her. She will say one story. And then after 3 days, again, she may say the same story. Don't immediately say, sister, I have heard this story, please don't say this. No, let her say. Because yes, reached a stage that she is not aware, but encourage her. So listen to her stories again and again, even if it is the same story. Accepting them joyfully. If they are in our community, accept. You need to accept them joyfully. And God is Emmanuel. Our God is with us. Tell them that God has not abandoned. God is always with us. And finally, let me conclude this session by Pope Francis' word or his wisdom that he shared about Pope Emeritus Benedictus, Benedict, Emeritus Benedict 16. So Pope Francis, on the occasion of the gathering of the grandparents on 28th September 2014, he said a beautiful word about Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. He was there in that gathering of grandparents. Pope Benedict XVI was also there. Then he said, I especially thank, I'm using Pope Francis' word, I especially thank Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI for his presence, especially in Vatican. He says, I have said many times that I am so happy that he, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, lives here at the Vatican, as it is like having the wise grandfather at home. You see how beautifully he says, no? So Pope Francis says, having Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is like having the wise grandfather at home. Yes, sisters, every elderly religious in our religious communities is like having a wise grandmother at home. So if elderly sister is in our community, it is like having a grandmother at home, wise grandmother at home. So the presence of our elderly members in religious communities should make everyone happy. Because when a grandmother is at home, when a grandfather is at home, we are so happy. I remember my grandmother was alive she lived long years, but we always wanted her to be in our home, but she always wanted to live alone in the sense where she was brought up. No, we were in another city, so she did not want to come away from the village where she was born, where she was brought up, where she spent all her life. She wanted to be there. But occasionally she used to visit us. She used to come to our house. So whenever she comes, we'll be very happy. Our grandmother is coming. And that is what every elderly religious is for us. So when we have a elderly religious in our community, it's an occasion of being happy because a grandmother is living with us.